Okay, so I'm just cleaning up my bathroom, decluttering and stuff, and I found some old soaps that I've felted that is part of an experiment to see whether the soap affected dyed wool or not and whether that was an issue. It's part of the reason why I stopped felting soap for people, because I wasn't sure exactly what was going on and I wanted to make sure that the stuff that I was using was safe. And it's also part of the reason why I started just using natural coloured fibres, because one, I think they look really nice and subtle in a bathroom, but also because I was worried about this exact thing that is happening. So here is a soap that I felted probably about 2 years ago, and I know a few of you are probably going to go, well, why would I leave it sitting around for so long and not use it? Well, it happens, and it's something to be really conscious of. And I've had this sat away in a drawer for quite some time and I haven't looked at it, so I don't know when this problem really started to happen, but I can tell you from experience it did at least initially start to happen straight away. Okay, so to get to this stage, I don't know when that happened, but it certainly started to happen straight away because I'd felted soaps with colour before and done this exact same thing, and whilst the results weren't quite as extreme, they were happening. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wet this soap, and before we start I'm just going to let you know that this was originally all a really bright blue colour, this nice blue colour. Now I admit this blue here is more fugitive than other colours, but every colour I have ever dyed with has done this same thing, okay? So just want to point that out. Every colour I've ever dyed with and some commercial fibres that I've used have done this, okay? So I think it has to do with the pH of the soap and everything getting into the fibre over time and just eroding the dye. All right, so yeah, this here is all felted still. It's still quite thick, even though it looks like it's just been put on there really thinly. Okay, now this has been kept in a drawer in the dark. Okay, I keep all my soaps in a drawer or in drawers. I don't have them out on the table or anything unless I'm physically using them at the time. Right. So if we get up, just to note as well, this is a melt and pour soap, and I've also seen it happen with commercial soaps as well. Okay, just so you know, I know that some people might see this crystallization on the back here and go, well, that's a melt and pour soap and that's why that's happening. It's not. I've seen it happen to all soaps that I've used. Okay, so I'm just going to get my scissors in here, cut this open. And if we pull this open, you can see that this soap is blue. When I poured this soap, it was bright white. Okay, there wasn't any color to it at all because I don't put much scent or anything in them because I'm going to felt them. So yeah, this soap was white. And if you can see where my scissors have gone in there, it's blue quite a ways in. I don't know if I can be careful here. Let's not cut my hand open. I don't know if you can see into there, but as deep as that is, I can't see any white. Okay, that's blue all the way in. So it has sucked the blue color into the soap. Now that in itself isn't a problem as such, right? Unless you're really sensitive to dyes and stuff, that's not a huge problem. Here is the problem. Now, the soap itself is not shedding a noticeable amount of colour, okay? But it does, trust me, it does, okay? If you sat this down on here and let it dry, the little bits of bubbles in that here will leave a blue mark on this, okay? And it could stain. So be really careful with that. I'm cutting these off and using them on stainless steel, but so that won't stain. But if you've got white sinks or anything like this, you'll never get it out. Now, the other thing to be mindful of is this. I don't know that came out very well, but that is all blue water that's come out of that. Felting there. A bit hard to see. This is the wrong colour to do this with in this room. But you should be able to see all that blue water that's come out of there. And if you leave this to sit on your sink like that, and you haven't noticed the blue water coming out of it, that will definitely stain your sink. Okay, so I'm going to wash that off straight away. So that doesn't stain. And you might say, okay, well, good, I'll just take note of that for when I go to use it. Make sure I put it on something that is not going to be stained, or put it in a soap dish. Great, good idea. But this soap, right, this natural soap, coloured soap, it was just used with white fleece, okay? It was sat next to some coloured soaps, and you can see here, this bit of yellow and this blue here has transferred onto the soap, just sitting with it. Okay, it was just sitting with it. Now, I admit melt and pour soaps can sweat a bit, and some of that is possibly from the sweat, but please be careful with your dyed fibres and soap. Okay, it's something you really need to be aware of. All these fibres were dyed well, and like I said, it's happened with commercially dyed fibres as well as the fibres that I've dyed myself. I've used alpaca, merino, whatever. Please just be careful when you're using dyed fibre on your soaps, because you don't want to ruin your nice white sink or anybody else's as well, okay? So just be really careful. I am going to highly recommend that if you want a felt soap, use some natural colours. They're beautiful. Beautiful browns and greys. In the alpacas and stuff, you can get rosy, like almost pink, red russety greys. You can blend coloured fibre, naturally coloured fibre together to make beautiful, beautiful colours, like all the felted rocks and stuff. They're all beautiful colours, and they'll fit in really well with any bathroom, which is always a great thing as well, because they're so subtle and natural, and you won't have to ever deal with this, okay? Because that colour won't come out of this fibre, and it won't come out of your sink, okay? So this is my warning. You can heat it or not, but tried to tell a few people this and they haven't believed me, but it's true. Please be careful. Over time, your dye will be ruined by your soap, and it won't be as secure in the fibre or colour fast as what it was when you first put it on, okay? So be mindful of it. Thanks.